The ranch had been quiet for so long that Eli Carter had almost forgotten what voices sounded like when they carried hope instead of need. The wind usually did all the talking out here, whispering through dry grass and rattling the loose boards of the fence he kept fixing even though it never seemed to stay straight. Eli was a man shaped by silence, broad shoulders burned dark by the sun, hands scarred from years of hammering wood and burying memories. He had chosen this land because it asked nothing of him but work. No past questions, no promises, just sun, dirt, and survival. That afternoon, as he drove another nail into the fence rail, he saw movement on the dirt road. A woman walking slowly, carefully, like someone afraid the ground itself might betray her. Behind her trudged a small boy, thin but upright, wearing a straw hat too big for his head. Eli didn't stop working at first. Travelers passed through sometimes. Most wanted water. Some wanted work. Some wanted pity. He'd learned not to give too much of any of it. But then the boy broke free from his mother's hand and ran toward the fence, stopping just short of it like it was a boundary between worlds. His eyes were bright, too bright for a child who'd clearly walked too far. Eli paused, hammer resting against the wood. The boy smiled at him, wide and unguarded, the kind of smile that hadn't yet learned how cruel people could be. "Mister," the boy said, breathless, "are you building something?" Eli swallowed. His voice came out rough, unused. "Fixing," he said. "Things break out here." The boy nodded like that made perfect sense. The woman reached them then, her dress dusty, her face pale but proud. She apologized quickly, said her son didn't mean to bother him. Eli shook his head. "He's fine," he said, surprising himself. He offered them water. The woman hesitated only a second before accepting. They sat in the shade of the fence while Eli fetched a tin cup. Her name was Clara. The boy's was Noah. They were headed west, she said, looking for work, for somewhere that didn't remember them, for things they couldn't change. Eli didn't ask what those things were. He never did. He offered them bread, then a place to rest for the night. Just one night, he told himself. Just until morning. That night, as the stars came out sharp and cold, Eli lay awake in his cabin, listening to the faint sound of Noah laughing outside, chasing fireflies like they were tiny miracles. Something in Eli's chest ached, slow and deep. He hadn't felt that pain since before the war, before he'd buried his brother under a tree with no name. When morning came, Clara said they'd leave after breakfast. Eli nodded. He told himself it was relief he felt. But when Noah hugged him suddenly, arms tight around his waist, Eli froze. "Thank you," the boy whispered. No one had said that to him in years. As they walked away down the road, Eli watched until they were just shapes in the dust. He went back to his fence, hammer in hand, but the wood felt heavier now. The silence returned, but it didn't fit the way it used to. And for the first time in a long while, Eli wondered if helping them for one night had been a mistake or the beginning of something. He didn't know how to survive. Chapter 2. They came back 3 days later, and by then Eli had already lost the argument with himself. He saw them before they reached the gate. Clara's stepped slower, Noah coughing into his sleeve. Eli didn't ask why they'd returned. He didn't need to. He brought them inside, started a fire, gave the boy his own blanket. That night Noah's fever climbed, and Eli sat beside the bed holding a cool cloth against the boy's forehead, remembering another boy once, bleeding in the mud, asking if it hurt to die. Clara cried quietly in the corner, apologizing again and again like her existence itself was an inconvenience. Eli told her to stop. The word came out sharper than he meant, but she stopped anyway. When Noah finally slept, Clara told Eli the truth. Her husband had died on a job that refused to pay her what was owed. The town blamed her for asking too many questions. They'd been pushed out, threatened. Eli listened, jaw tight. He knew that kind of town. He'd built his life as far away from them as possible. Days turned into weeks. Noah grew stronger. Clara helped around the ranch. Laughter returned, tentative at first, then real. Eli fixed fences that didn't need fixing just to feel useful. One evening, as the sun bled red across the fields, Noah stood beside him at the fence, watching him work. The boy had grown comfortable here, too comfortable. He tilted his head up, eyes serious now, older than before. "Mr. Eli," he asked softly, "are you staying forever?" The hammer slipped from Eli's hand and hit the dirt. The question landed heavier than any blow he'd taken. He looked at the boy, then at Clara standing in the distance, fear and hope warring in her eyes. Forever was a word Eli had buried along with his brother. Forever meant loss could find you again. It meant loving something enough to be destroyed by it. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he knelt so he was eye level with Noah. "I don't know," he said honestly. Noah nodded like that was enough. "I hope you do," he said, then hugged him. That night, Eli made a choice. Not a promise, just a step. He told Clara they could stay through winter. Her hands shook when she thanked him. Spring came, then another. The ranch changed. It felt alive. And one morning, as Eli watched Noah run through the fields, calling him Papa without realizing when the word had started, Eli understood the truth. He had been staying all along. He had helped a stranger, yes, but in doing so, he had been saved. Some stories aren't about finding home. They're about letting home find you. And if this story touched your heart, if you believe second chances still exist even in the harshest places, then don't forget to subscribe. Because stories like this remind us that forever sometimes begins with one small act of kindness.